morning, it is that time of the week again, another fitness fragrance review. And what one are we looking at today? Well, we are looking at very much a cheapy fragrance, one I've spoken about before, but not very often. I think I've literally done it once on initial impressions, and it's called Mandate. Yes, Mandate. It doesn't really give you much of a hint of what it's a clone of, but it's actually a clone of Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, a very old school fougere barbershop fragrance. It's nice and a soapy fragrance. Now, Paco Rabanne Pour Homme essentially got me into fragrances. My brother had it, and I was instantly just blown away. I thought it smelled like an Actor Palmer, and obviously over time I've realised it doesn't smell like an Actor Palmer, but I still absolutely love it. It's an old school classic barbershop scent that I still think's timeless. You know, that many fragrances don't smell like them today. They're much more sweet, much more vanilla, but it's got this shaving cream vibe, and yeah, this one is a fantastic clone, so I can't wait to give it the full review today. If you haven't seen my fitness range reviews, essentially I'm going to do a morning workout, so I'm going to go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, and rank it on 5 categories. So we'll look at its price, its versatility, how much you can use it in different situations, look at its projections, how much I'm noticing during my run, and we'll do a room spray test later to see how much it fills up the room. We'll also look at its compliment factor. Do I think people will say good things about it if you're wearing it? And also its longevity, where I'll spray it on my arm before we go to the gym, do a workout 3 hours ago by once I've had a shower, we'll still see if the fragrance has survived. So what I'm going to quickly do though, before we do my run, we're going to go through the note breakdown. What is actually in Mandate? One thing you notice when you see like old fragrance note breakdowns is they are huge, so many notes in them, and this clone here has a huge one as well, which is very similar to the Paco Rabanne Pour Homme one. So what you've got in the opening, you've got bergamot, lavender, rosemary and clary sage. Again, I think it's all just lending to that nice clean smell. I don't really get a huge floral component to this. It's much more soapy, and I think that's really where it develops. Look, the opening is quite bright, but as you go into the heart and the base, that's where the fragrance really starts to shine through. So you've got geranium, cloves, cinnamon and pine. Now I don't really get the spiciness either, but you do get that slight green pininess. And then when you go into the base, it's cedar, oak moss. Oak moss is super prominent here. A lot of the fougere barbershop scents, if you look at them, they always have oak moss in. Really, really like it. It's one of my favourite notes. Tonka bean, which I think will round the fragrance together, amber and musk. And I think that musk just tones down any sort of spices you've got, whether that's from the cinnamon or the pine, and just makes it that nice clean feeling. It's very soapy, this very, very soapy. Whether that's coming from the opening, you know, you've got bergamot, lavender, rosemary, clary sage, that's adding to that slight bit of brightness, but it's very much that nice green soapy type fragrance, which I absolutely love. I adore it. Look, it is a little bit dated, of course it is, but it's timeless. I always say this, there's a reason these fragrances are still around. The original Paco Rabanne is still around, the original Pour Homme. And yeah, this is a fantastic one. For something to clone it essentially says it must be doing something right. So going to apply this a bit more. If you haven't seen this again, as I said, I'm going to go for my morning workout. I always do the first 2 categories on my run. So we'll look at its price / value for money and also its versatility. Let's get out there. And another run and workout begins. So we are talking today about Mandate. I believe it's just called Mandate as well, which isn't the most thoughtful name in the world, is it? I could have called it something, I'm sure. Anyway, stop moaning about that. Let's talk about the price / value for money. I'm going to just give you the score already. 10 out of 10. I was shocked when my brother told me the price of this. Online, it's about, in general, for 100ml, £10. Now, I think you can never feel ripped off of any fragrance, even if it's a bad one, for £10. But for something to smell so similar to the original Paco Rabanne Pour Homme is incredible. It doesn't smell synthetic, and we'll go on to projection and stuff later, we'll test that later. The only thing is it just doesn't feel like it's going to be quite as strong a performer. But in terms of it smelling identical, it really does. If my brother had said to me, oh, I've got Paco Rabanne Pour Homme on, I wouldn't be able to go, oh yeah, no, that's not it, that's a clone of it, or that's not Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, it smells nothing like it. It smells exactly the same, and that one, the original Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, is going up in price. When I first was buying it on eBay, you were kind of talking, you know, mid to low, or low to mid 20s, it was about £22, £23. You're talking about £30 and up now. So to be able to get this, whether you wanted it to just purely replace it, or just as a top-up spray in your bag, I think it's great, and I don't think you can ever complain about this price. It smells, you know, to me, pretty well blended and just easy to pull off. So for that reason, I've just got to go straight into it. 10 out of 10 for price / value for money. Let's move on to versatility. Okay, so let's move on to versatility then for Mandate. How much do you dress this one up? Dress this one down, different ages, different occasions, different seasons, all those things. Well, if I had to say what I'd use this best for, or what I think it's best suited to in terms of its vibe, it's soapy clean, fresh out the shower for me. This is just when you've gone to the gym and you want something in your bag that you can just put on with, a pair of jeans and a white t-shirt and feel just fresh, or you've had a haircut, you've had a shave. That's when I think this one works best. Look, it's definitely a masculine fragrance, and it definitely leans towards an older person, because if someone is used to those sweet caramel smells, those more, blue shower gel type fragrances, this is going to smell dated to you. Would I dress it up? No. Again, when you look at the notes, bergamot, lavender, I think them, and even musk, they're more suited to just smelling, clean. And there's nothing about it, there's no real smoky components to it. Again, the cinnamon isn't really prominent in this for me. There's no leather or anything that makes you think this is a night out, date night seductive fragrance. There's no real sweetness to it. And there's no real sophistication in terms of boozy notes or anything like that. It doesn't really have statement about it. But for your everyday type of scent, I think this is great. You could definitely wear this to work. You could definitely wear this casually. And it will just tick those boxes. And to be honest with you, it's not a real strong citrus fragrance or anything. So I don't think it's perfect for the summer. But transition season, certainly, fall, winter time, fall and springtime will work well. But again, summer and winter, it's not horrendous. There's a lot of words. It's got signature scent potential, and for that reason, I'm going to give Mandate another good score here. I'm going to give versatility 9 out of 10. Look, it's not date night. It's not seductive, but other than that, it's never going to be that bad. It's never going to be nobody's going to go, do you remember that person because he smelled this awful fragrance that you wore on that occasion, wore leather in the Caribbean or something. It's just not going to happen. It's got versatility about it, and that's I think probably why Mandate has copied that DNA, because it's a timeless scent. So 9 out of 10 for versatility. But when we get back, we will talk about projection and how much I'm noticing it at the moment during my run. So workout done, it is now time to spray my room to test for projection. So essentially what I'm looking for here, let's do 10. Sorry, Jack, this isn't my spray. But essentially, yeah, if a friend came in, a family member, would they notice your room smells really nice, that you put a nice fragrance on? If this was an office, would someone come in and a colleague say, oh, you smell really good? So that's what I'm testing for. In the meantime, though, I'm going to let that sit for about 10 minutes. We'll head downstairs, we'll have a drink, and we can talk about how much I noticed the fragrance during my run. Lovely Christmas tea. Yes, I'm still going through my Christmas tea bags at the moment, which is ridiculous. But let's talk about projection during my runs. How much did I notice Mandate during my workout? To be honest, not once. I haven't smelt it at all since I've come back, since I've stopped anything like that. As I touched upon earlier, just from my experience, just from my brother's worn it, it's not as strong as the original. And look, retro fragrances tend to be really, really strong. And Paco, Rabanne, pour on, based on the scent vibe it is, it's not obviously going to be as heavy as some of those more Aramis type fragrances, or a dupe, for example. But it's pretty strong for what its scent profile is. Its scent vibe, that soapiness. And, I'm disappointed with this one. This, to me, at the moment, I really love the quality. The actual smell of it is just brilliant. But I feel like it's still going to have to just be a top-up scent purely on the fact at the moment, from what I'm detecting, that projection's not great. Maybe if the longevity's good, maybe I'll change my mind. But obviously, in the meantime, I'm not too sure about this projection. I don't think it's going to get the highest score when I go upstairs and, see if it's filled up my room. And then we'll spray my arms, because I haven't done my longevity test yet. Up we go to test for projection. I actually ran it a lot better today. No injuries, no knee pain. Makes a bit of a change, doesn't it? Right. I feel like I can briefly smell it while at the top of the stairs, Am I just subconsciously predicting it? Maybe not, because it has certainly filled up my room a lot more than I was expecting. Someone comes in there noticing it. Look, do I think it's going to last 2, 3, 4 hours? Probably not. But I think in that first hour or two, people are going to come in the room and go, oh, it smells really nice and clean in here. That surprised me. Again, maybe it's due to the complexity of the note breakdown, because it is a big note breakdown, as we said earlier. There's a lot more notes in it, and maybe the spices are helping. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but the performance on this is much stronger. It feels like there's a bit of, I don't know if there's a vanilla. I need to double check that note breakdown, but there's something that's really making this fragrance just linger in the room, and it's very nice, very pleasant. It always reminds me of a gym changer, and that's because my dad at the moment has got Paco Rabanne pour on when he goes to the gym, and I can always smell it when I go in the changing rooms. It's not bad. It's still not as strong as the original, but it's above average for the price you're paying. I'm surprised I didn't notice this on my run, actually. So for that reason, I've got to mark it down a little bit because I didn't notice it on my run. It's not super, super beast mode, but it's about bang on. I was going to say 6.5. I'm going to bump it up to a 7. 7 out of 10 for that, because it is not bad at all. That may get you through till lunch on a sort of climate-controlled day. Also got to spray my arms now. So what I was just saying a minute ago, I hadn't actually remembered to do the longevity test. Again, if you haven't seen this, essentially I'll spray my arm 3 times on each side. 3 hours time to go by. It's about 9:30 now, so it'll be about 12:15 essentially by the time I leave the gym. And yeah, it's just really to see if we can detect that fragrance once I've done my workout in the shower. So better get myself in my coat. And yeah, I'll see you out there. We'll talk about compliment factor on the way. Let's move on to compliment factor for Mandate. Do I think it's a compliment getting fragrance? Well, I don't really. I'm probably going to be a little bit critical with this one. It feels like the sort of fragrance, when I talk about compliments, I always think the main goal of them is to try and get, the attention of someone you may be interested in. I always think when people search this, they're trying to find that more seductive, alluring type scent, and that's not what this one is. This is the kind of scent which puts you in the friend zone, alternatively. That sounds really harsh, but what I mean by that is the scent you kind of wear for yourself. You wear it every day, and along the way people are going to say nice things about you. It is a very nice, easy to pull off scent, but it does have that throwback, that slight dated smell, as we've touched upon, and it's just not one that's got that seductive, alluring quality about it. So I feel like you'll get a range of people that may say nice things about you. It might be your gran, it might be that person that you like, it may be, just someone down the pub, but I don't think it's ever going to be that statement. It's not a statement type scent. It's not built to be that. And if you want something that's going to be that more seductive, alluring statement type smell, that's not what this one is. It's not built for that, and it's not meant to be built for that. And it is a little bit tamer, as I said, than the original fragrance. So where I gave it a slightly higher score for the last route, I think I'm just going to have to mark it down that little bit more for this one. So I'm going to give it, for compliment factor, a 6 out of 10. Now, again, it's not divisive. I wouldn't feel particularly, strange wearing it around other people. I certainly don't feel, even at the gym, I don't think it's going to be anything that people are going to move away from you from. I actually think it's quite nice for the gym, but I don't feel like it's going to be one that I'd ever be thinking, I've got to buy that because that's the one that's going to get compliments. It might be one that's more appreciated by people that like fragrances, again, the fragrance community, especially if they like those retro throwback scents, and I think that's what it's for. It's more for your enthusiasts, potentially, more for the older gentleman who just wants to just smell clean and nice and isn't really going out to impress anyone. So I think this is probably the round where it's going to fall down most, but 6 out of 10 is still a good score, and I think you'll still get nice comments, maybe just not those wow comments along the way. Just gone 12:10. That's nice. I feel a lot cleaner now after having a shower. But let's see how much the fragrance has survived. It's been just under 3 hours since I applied Mandate. Tell you what, this has been a couple of fitness fragrance reviews in a row now where I've been pleasantly surprised by the projection and the longevity. 2543 by Lush really surprised me with how good that projection and longevity was. Mandate's done really well. It's about 60, maybe 70% strong as when I applied it earlier. For a £10 fragrance, that is unbelievable. Look, I still say it's quite a tame fragrance in general. It's not really heavy, but the projection and longevity based on how strong it is really good. I said people are going to notice it within the first 1 or 2 hours. I think if you're sitting in a room and 100% you're going to still smell it on your skin after 4, 5, 6 hours time. Well, that's what I'm finding with my skin chemistry anyway. That's not hard to miss. And funny enough, I was having a shower. When I was obviously having the shower, I thought, I can smell Paco Rabanne pour on, and then I had to remind myself, because sometimes, because obviously so much time has gone by, I forget that I'm doing a review at times, because these reviews last about 6, 7 hours by the time I finish my workout. It just suddenly came back to me, oh yeah, I'm doing Mandate as a review today. I thought my dad had been in that shower, but no, it was obviously the strength and the longevity of this Mandate fragrance, and yeah, it is not bad at all. So I'm going to have to give it much higher score than I was planning. I thought this was going to be about 7 out of 10 originally, but I'm going to give it, I'm going to be really generous. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Look, if it was a 20, £30 fragrance, I'd probably mark it down a little bit more. But when you're paying £10 to £15 for something that smells, well, it's almost identical to Paco Rabanne, but on to be honest with you, and lasts pretty well, this could easily be a top-up bag, top-up fragrance in your bag. Or, if you just don't want it to project as much, a fragrance in its own right is brilliant. And yeah, when we get back, we'll count up all the scores and I'll give my overall thoughts. Another workout is done. So what is the time? It is 1:30. I've done 42,085 steps, all while wearing this fragrance here, Mandate Eau de Toilette. So what was the total score for this fragrance based on the 5 categories we did? It's done really well, 42 out of 50. And the only thing it's really kind of gone a little bit lower on today was its compliment factor. Now, that's a little bit subjective. I think it's one of those fragrances that if someone's close by to you, they may notice it. And also, I was really surprised by the projection and longevity. It was a lot better than I thought. So maybe just where I was running today and it was just there, maybe just for some reason it didn't pick up. It's a little bit chilly first thing in the morning, and maybe that was why. But overall, it's done fantastically well. 42 out of 50 is a super score. Look, fragrances are getting more expensive. If you can get a sort of cheap clone of a fragrance that you really like, even better. And this one actually does smell good. You sometimes get fragrances where the clone or a fragrance that's almost tried to copy just doesn't quite smell as good. And if you know what the original smells like, you almost think, I'm just going to treat myself to that one, particularly if you like it so much. This one, I'm really surprised. Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, as I said, was the one that got me into fragrances. I would almost now, yeah, I'd happily get this one over Paco Rabanne Pour Homme. As again, I still think it's a little bit tamer. It's not quite as strong as the original, and maybe that's what let me down in terms of why I didn't think it'd be as good for compliments. But it is a little bit of a dated fragrance. But I love it. I absolutely love that scent, and I could just smell that all day because it's so pleasant, so easy to wear. Out the gym, out the shower, perfect fragrance. And yeah, I'm so happy it got that score because I honestly didn't know about this one until my brother mentioned it. I didn't know about it, and yeah, it is a really good scent. One of my favourites now, I have to say. It's got to be in my collection at some point. And if you do know Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, give this one a try because yeah, it smells absolutely identical. And not just, as I said, sometimes clone fragrances up close, that's when you notice that they smell a bit cheaper. This one doesn't. It smells exactly the same. So yeah, that is everything for the review today. I'm planning tomorrow to do something a little bit different because I can't nick any of my brother's fragrances because he's not at work. So I'm planning to do a bit of a controversial one. I've spoken about how I think certain fragrance notes are really good. So I've obviously spoken recently about neroli being a top note. I'm going to talk about one that I think is not as good. I'm going to talk about strawberry. Yes, why I think strawberry maybe is a little bit overrated in perfumery. So hopefully you'll enjoy me for that. Hopefully that'll generate a little bit of a opinion either way, and you'll comment on that and give me your thoughts as well. But thanks for watching today, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you for that one as well.